Welcome to Supply Chain Talks. My name is Christian Carsten Mortensen. I'm a Senior Director, Global Partnership and Alliances at project44, and today I'm also your host for Supply Chain Talks. project44 has hand-curated a strong partner network to extend and enable the best possible customer experience. During 2021, we welcome you to our partner series, Supply Chain Talks. These conversations touch on current developments in global supply chains and the world of logistics. Today, we happily welcome Mrs. Magdalena Stavreva, Manager, Product Portfolio and Strategic Alliances at Siemens Digital Logistics. Magdalena, I'm positively and very pleased to have you join.
Yeah, thanks for having me today, Christian. The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. Magdalena, from memory, you work with customers like my friends in Smith Bull, BASF, Schenker in Germany, Ford, and many more. Can you a little bit share the Siemens Digital story?
Yeah, sure. So Siemens Digital Logistics is the result of the merger of Axit, Locum Software, and Locum Consulting. Although it's a pretty young company, Siemens Digital Logistics has logistics and supply chain management in its DNA, based on 20 years of experience of former Axit and 30 years of experience of former Locum. So let me tell you a little bit more about these former companies. So Axit was a specialist in the area of collaboration and supply chain execution. And the company's mission was to ban the paper from logistics, and following the motto of the founders of the company, connecting logistics to enable digital collaboration between all the stakeholders along the supply chain. So the collaboration platform AX4 is connecting shippers, carriers, warehouses, customers, and they help them manage and monitor their supply chains end to end, ranging from purchase order handling, multi-leg and multi-model transport orders, as well as their freight claims and credit note creation processes. So the main benefit lays in replacing manual processes and siloed operations by integrated cloud solutions. So Locum, on the other hand, was a specialist in the area of supply chain planning and optimization. So they combined supply chain management expertise of the consulting department with dedicated software. And the company helped multiple customers from various industries with their strategic and tactical planning of their logistics networks. And applying a digital twin approach, they offered customers a digital dimension to their real-world supply chain networks, and by simulating different scenarios, considering capacity restrictions, cost targets, routing options, digital twins help optimize delivery frequencies, the network structure, inventories, and freight rates. And they created visibility of the complex logistics networks, allowing for planning and continuous optimization. And in 2015, Axit became part of the big Siemens family, and Locum joined 3 years later. And since 2018, we are Siemens Digital Logistics, providing end-to-end supply chain planning, optimization, and execution.
Fantastic. And also, if I understand it correctly, Siemens Digital Logistics specializes in the digital transformation of logistics processes, but that could have, let's say, sometimes a different meaning to people. So maybe we could dig deeper on what that precisely means in SDL's world.
Yeah, right. Digitalization has been a buzzword for quite a while now, so I understand your question. Well, actually, it's a pretty simple concept. The digital transformation, it's about moving from paper-based siloed processes managed either manually or by isolated legacy systems to integrated solution with harmonized data as a single point of truth. This enables collaboration with all the players along the supply chain network. So how do we do this? The first and most important part is about integrating all of the supply chain stakeholders by the means of integration that they support. So bigger companies are typically integrated by APIs, and this is usually EDI or web service, but there is also the possibility to provide data via web entry or mobile app. And each and every player along the supply chain holds a piece of information which is relevant for the next one in the chain. For example, shippers can provide information if the pallets are stackable or not stackable. And this is essential for the carriers to plan space on their trucks. Or suppliers, they provide pickup information and also information if the ordered quality and quantity will be provided. So this is again important for the logistics service providers and for the production plants because they need to know if they will get the ordered quantity. And integration of all the parties and data creates visibility. And I think supply chain visibility is a fundamental part of the digital transformation because you can't manage what you don't see, right? And with having supply chain visibility, all of a sudden information which was hidden in a spreadsheet, in an email, or maybe on a piece of paper becomes visible and available to all the parties in the supply chain, and they can use this piece of information to optimize their own processes. And last but not least, collaboration within supply chain network is an essential contributor to supply chain visibility because there is no collaboration without visibility, and collaboration also provides additional visibility. And here I'm talking about visibility which is created by all the parties of the supply chain, but also by collaboration between TMS providers and real-time visibility providers, such as project44, for example. And just to mention another concept or a buzzword, if you wish, everybody's talking about the intelligent supply chain. And this is something that supply chains, they don't become overnight, right? This is a step-by-step process, starting from connected supply chain, integrated all of the data, using this data to optimize the logistics processes, and by integrating real-time information from third-party systems, the supply chain becomes more intelligent because it gets additional insights.
Magdalena, logistics, to me at least, means delivering whatever the circumstances, but our interdependent supply structures depend on it. But more and more external disruptions are coming out of nowhere to bring our supply chains often to a grinding halt. How do you see companies creating and ensuring supply chain resilience?
Right. So it would be great if we all had a crystal ball and can see things coming up front. But yeah, since we don't have, well, I think that no supply chain can ever be fully prepared or protected from global shocks of the magnitude such as of the coronavirus pandemic. And good visibility into all the aspects of the supply chain can build resilience and agility to lessen the impact of these risk events. So resilient supply chains, they need real-time data. The more data is available in real time, the better and faster is the reaction to these disruptions. And when the spread of the coronavirus in China forced the shutdowns of thousands of factories, it was supply chain visibilities who provided us the information, okay, which materials, which products, which customers are affected, and maybe what alternative sources of supply were available. And once the production started up again, we needed visibility into the logistics capacity available to move goods around the globe. And here I just want to mention an interesting example from one of our customers. They have warehouses across Europe, and they are supplying customers, and they had a warehouse in France. And according to the French legislation, if the employees are able to prove that their health is put in danger at the work, they're actually allowed not to go to work. And what happened, I mean, Corona was everywhere in the news, so they didn't really need big of a proof. What happened was that they had a warehouse with 600 employees working in 3 shifts. And when Corona pandemic started, like a couple of weeks later, they had only 200 people. So they came to us, I mean, we're working for them for a few years now, and they said, okay, we want to prevent such a thing in the future. So what we did for them is by simulating different scenarios, we helped them understand how they can allocate the delivery from one warehouse to another, considering, of course, capacity restrictions and costs. And the result was that they can use another warehouse in Finland and Poland. And another result was that they needed 1,500 square meters additional space, but the customer is willing to invest in it because they want to be able to dynamically react to such changes and avoid, of course, sales drops.
Great example. And to follow up on that, it seems that, let's say, dynamic planning would be an integrated part of building that resilience. So how does Siemens Digital Logistics work with dynamic planning and clients like you just mentioned?
Yeah, right. Our portfolio is a combination of supply chain execution and supply chain optimization capabilities. And we get the data from the operational supply chain execution processes and stimulate different scenarios to get alternative options like alternative routes, alternative sourcing. And the result of this dynamic optimization is presented to the customers as alternative options to react, like what they can do. And here it's important to get real-time insights to be able to really assess what's going on in the supply chain in real time. So real-time predictions, condition monitoring give additional insights and help make the right decisions. And here I would like to mention another important aspect. This is the temperature sensitive goods. We have a customer producing trailers and they need special adhesive for this. And if this adhesive is heated up to a certain temperature, it's useless. So customers not only need information whether or not it's going to arrive on time, but they also need information about the quality of the goods which are on the road. And I think it's important to get this depth of visibility and to get these additional insights to zoom into the supply chain and really understand what's going on.
To me, digital logistics networks offers very many opportunities for much greener logistics by running, let's say, fewer empty trucks, by making warehouses more energy efficient, by finding reusable solutions and so on. How is Siemens Digital Logistics working in this area?
Yeah, with simulation and optimization algorithms, we're helping our customers to optimize their transports and utilize the existing resources. As you mentioned, we help them explore consolidation potential so that they can build milk runs, or through this optimal customer allocation to the warehouses, we reduce the number of mileage or kilometers driven. And based on available freight rates, we show them options for choosing not only the cheapest or the fastest logistics service provider, but also the type of transport or the service provider with the lowest carbon footprint impact. But very often, many of these things are only a drop in the ocean, because supply chain accounts for 30 to 40% of the emissions based on the type of product. And usually it's the strategic decisions who have a greater impact on this area of green logistics. And here I would like to mention another customer example. This is a customer from the textile industry. They wanted to understand what are the emission levels of their supply chain network. So we help them understand by product, by country, by transport mode, what are the emission levels. And we help them analyze the areas which they need to address. And back then they decided to produce high quality jackets and pullovers. And they picked up a supplier in China, but they weren't happy with the quality at the end of the day, and they had to really quickly switch to another supplier in Portugal. So this strategic sourcing decision actually had a great impact on the carbon footprint, because from Portugal, they could distribute the products to Europe, and this is basically shorter distances. And another thing that they did and didn't even realize what the impact was a change of a product. So they have these t-shirts which are never out of stock. They are sold through the whole year. And in the past, they were made out of heavy cotton. It was high quality cotton. So they decided to change the material. And by doing so, the weight of the t-shirts was reduced by 40%. So they were actually able to pack a lot more in one container, and they needed less containers. So this strategic decision had a huge impact on the carbon footprint, and they didn't even thought about it. So that's why it's really important to consider sustainability as part of the strategic planning.
Wow, these days it's definitely important to be global and transparent. So how do, let's say, Siemens Digital Logistics work on supply chain visibility?
Right, so supply chain visibility is not a new phenomenon actually, but we observe that its importance grows in the time of increased uncertainty, like with the course of the pandemic and other unexpected events. So you cannot predict or prevent what's going to happen, but at least you can be prepared for that. So visibility helps improve operational efficiency and mitigate risks. So it helps customer understand, for example, if the trucks have crossed the borders. Sometimes they are stuck at customs and somebody needs to be informed to take an action or inform the customer that the delivery is going to be delayed. And I think Amazon is also setting the bar very high for the B2C area, and B2B customers expect just the same level of visibility. So that's why the customers we're talking to who want to have real-time visibility are basically trying to improve their customer service, and logistics and real-time visibility are seen as a competitive advantage. And I'm glad that in this area we use the power of the ecosystem and work with real-time visibility providers like project44.
Say, looking a little bit on the broader perspective, what are the major supply chain challenges that different industries face 2021, and how could supply chain management solutions help overcome these?
Right, yeah, I mean, I think companies face a lot of challenges nowadays, but let's maybe focus on three main of them. We observe changing customer demand and also changing sales channels because we have increased demand for food and perishable goods during the pandemics, and we see also increase in the e-commerce because when the shops were closed, people ordered a lot more on the internet. So there is a shift to a B2C deliveries, which is also changing the supply chain processes, because it makes a difference if you're sending a full truckload somewhere or you have to deliver one package to a single customer, right? And traceability along the supply chain, and especially the last mile, becomes more and more important. The second challenge is about talent scarcity. I mean, we see it in the logistics industry that there are lack of drivers, and here intelligent supply chain management solutions help supply chain managers to handle the logistics networks with the existing resources. And there are, of course, a lot of initiatives to improve the image of the logistics industry. And I took part in one of these and took a video myself to encourage younger people to join logistics. You can Google it. And last but not least, one of the biggest challenge which customers for every industry face nowadays is to ensure reliable supply chain processes in times of uncertainty, and to manage out of stocks, for example. We all remember these truck queues along the border due to COVID, where it wasn't clear if the drivers are allowed to pass the border or not, and the shortage of masks at the beginning of the pandemic, which caused many companies to think about new sourcing and nearshoring strategies. And with the high level of visibilities across the entire supply chain, it helps customers to make the right decisions. And as we look forward, having the data and the right tools to predict and plan for the future becomes more and more important.
To finish, I was wondering, how do you see the role of digital twin, and in particular when it comes to create capacity and to manage growth?
Yeah, right. So we already touched a little bit this concept of digital twin, and it's actually not only about the digital twin, but there are different digital twins. There are digital twins for the product design, digital twin for the production, which is a replication of production plan, or logistics digital twin. And although they're applied to different areas of the value chain, they follow the same principles. All of the digital twins are actually a snapshot of the real world, and by simulating different scenarios, they provide handling options. Of course, these handling options are before somebody does any investment. And with respect to capacity, logistics digital twins help companies optimize their processes, considering capacity restrictions and also cost targets. And in terms of growth, they're helping identify where capacity extension is needed to meet the increasing demand, like in this example with the warehouse or extension of the warehouse in Finland. Just to mention a few areas of application of logistics digital twins, they help analyze an existing network and consider whether building a consolidation center would make sense. And digital twins help identify where is the optimal location and how it would affect the efficiency of the logistics network. Digital twins help with suggestions for rerouting of shipments and reassignment to different distribution centers. Excuse me. And the optimization of the delivery frequencies. So digital twins enable data-driven decision, and the following general rule applies. The more data they get, the clearer the picture it delivers in order to plan and optimize complex supply chain networks. And it's not only about the quantity of the data, but it's about its quality. That's why it's important to have good quality data.
Thank you so much, Magdalena, and thank you to you and to Siemens Digital Logistics for being a really great and trusted partners to project44, and to you for joining us here today for Supply Chain Talks.
Thanks a lot for the invitation, and I'm looking forward for our collaboration in the future.
Thank you.